Imagine graduating high school a year early, moving to Vegas at 17, and immediately stepping onto a court to a pass that's 100 miles an hour from grown women. Caleigh King didn't just survive that wake-up call. She earned the starting libero spot at UNLV. Today we break down the psychological whiplash of playing D1 sports as a teenager, how to drag yourself out of a mid-season mental slump, and the brutal sports science required to stay on the court. Welcome to Almavora. Let's get to work. So before we kick it off and get into UNLV volleyball, I want to know, who was Caleigh King before she stepped on the volleyball court? Like, where'd you find the love for the sport of volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to even remember who I was before volleyball because I started at such a young age. But yeah, basically, I was born in Dallas, and I played a lot of sports growing up because I was just a super athletic and like active kid, and I just wanted to play something. So
Right.
I was always talking to my parents, being like, "Oh, I want to play this sport this time, this sport this time." And when I was in middle school, I would sign myself up for all these extracurricular activities. I signed myself up for cheer, basketball, like I wanted to play soccer. I even played flag football, which is kind of crazy. And then I also played sand volleyball.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I went to a charter school. It's called Wesley Academy. It's here back at home in Dallas. And so I went to that school and I really found myself loving volleyball when I was in middle school. And so I started a rec league. And then when I was in eighth grade, I was actually playing on varsity at this school. And so I was a setter at the time, even though in club I was an outside. And so, yeah, whenever I was playing in club, I was playing up. And I actually found club through rec volleyball, which was really interesting. And I never knew the whole world of club volleyball. I didn't even know that there was a thought and even a chance for me to play, in college because I just didn't know. I had no clue.
Right.
And it
Now,
was
is
really
club,
interesting.
is club volleyball very important for athletes to make it to college, or would you say high school is more important to play than?
Yeah, club is very important. That's where
Really?
all the coaches will look at your film through club volleyball, and that's where you get the most recruitment insights. And
Wow.
that's where, yeah, if you play club volleyball, you'll travel to tournaments and you'll play. If you're in the open division, that's the top level. And so when you go to nationals or when you go to any of these qualifiers to get to nationals, you'll have tons of college coaches just surrounding your courts. I played on like a super high level club team with,
Right.
a ton of girls who are also at the D1 level right now. And so we always had tons of college coaches coming up to our coaches, asking us about us. And
Wow.
that's definitely, yeah, where you get the most looks at for recruitment.
Interesting. I never knew that. It's a lot different for every sport. Walking through high school, you were mostly playing club. Did you also play high school volleyball as well? Or?
Yeah, I played high school volleyball, and in Texas, like, sports are huge for us. So
Right.
my last period was volleyball, actually.
No
For
way.
yeah, yeah,
That's
that
so
counted as a
sick.
credit.
Dang, we gotta get some sports counting as credits here in Virginia. That's crazy. I've never even heard of that. But so walking through like your high school grind as an athlete, like what were you doing outside of the classroom to really stand apart from all the other athletes to make it to the next level? Like, were you going to a private trainer? Were you going to extra trainings with your high school coach? Like, what were you doing to stand out to make it to a Division I program?
Yeah, so, starting off, like, high school volleyball, having it as a extracurricular, but also as a class was a good jump ahead, and we also weight trained in high school. We had a super nice I went to
Really?
South Lake Carroll, and we have a really nice athletic facility and training facilities, so that was something that definitely helped a lot because volleyball season starts in the winter for club volleyball, and
Mm.
then it goes through the summer, and then fall is when your school season is, and you start in the summer a little bit before that. And yeah, so that takes you through your fall. And then, I mean, after that, I played at a club called Drive Nation, and we were one of the top clubs at the time. And so we had a lot
In the
of
country or in Texas?
in the country. Yeah. We're the open level division. That's the top division, and every year we went to nationals, and that was something that was really cool because only 64 teams make it to nationals in the open level, and so in the entire US. Yeah, so it was really cool being able to compete at such a high level. But yeah, I mean, those coaches that we had at our club, they were super helpful. One of the top coaching staffs probably that we had. And so, I mean, I was getting privates with them all the time. I played for a coach called, his name's Ping. And if anyone who plays volleyball watches this, like they definitely know he is a name that everyone knows. And so I was able to play for him, and that was something that was super special because I got probably the best coaching I've ever had from him. He was amazing. And I think just having him as a coach was something that set me apart from a lot of different people because he was like one of a kind and he would help us so much. And he was just, yeah, he was just someone that, you always look forward to playing for if you're in the Dallas area. So,
Most definitely, most definitely. It sounds like, and it obviously reflects, that he was a great coach, but I wanna know, you mentioned that you had a strength program, like, at your high school. Would you say that was, like, pretty similar to your college strength program that you have right now, or was it a total 180?
that's a good question. I think we did a lot of things that were somewhat similar, but obviously less intense.
Right.
I think that when you're in college, obviously the weight goes up, the reps go up, the quickness of certain movements that all goes up. And so in high school, I don't think like a lot of us realized the benefit of weightlifting at the time, but it really did help us. Like we were front squatting, back squatting. We had a great
Wow,
strength training program. Yeah, we had like I want to say like 12 different, racks that everyone would be at and we would all train together and it was a solid group that we had. We all wanted to get better and we all wanted to help each other get to the like championship and stuff like that. So I think that yeah, our training was really, really good actually. And a lot of the movements, like I said, we still do in college today. So yeah.
that is super rare. I mean, to have a good strength program in high school is one of a kind for sure. I mean, not too rare for Texas, but for the
Yeah.
rest
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard a lot of Texas schools have a great high school strength program, so that's good to hear. Um,
Mhm.
I wanna know, so you went to UNLV, and, I mean, every freshman has a welcome to college sports moment where they realize they're on a totally different level. Maybe for some it's good, maybe for you it wasn't so good, but what
Mhm.
was that moment like for Caleigh King?
Wow. Okay.
And this you could say, like, an embarrassing story or, like, it could be like a surreal moment or it
Yeah.
so
My story is a little bit interesting actually. Okay, so I graduated a year early from high school to go to college. And so I was 17 coming into college, and so I'd flown straight from nationals, which was in Chicago at the time. I flew straight from nationals where we got 5th place at nationals, which was, like, really awesome. But yeah, flew straight from Chicago to Vegas, and from that point, as soon as I landed in Vegas, I was in college, and I was just like, "This is the
wow,
most crazy turnaround ever." Yeah, it was, like, something I've never experienced before, like, it's like I picked my life up and just moved it to Vegas.
that's
And
crazy.
so, yeah, as soon as I got to college, I actually that day and that night, I was at practice with all of my new college teammates. I didn't even wanna take a day off. That was like, "I wanna get in the gym immediately. I just wanna play."
That's
And
hardcore. Damn.
yeah, it was crazy. And so, literally, the the day before, I was passing, serves from girls who were in the 17 Open. I thought, "This is the best level I'm ever gonna play at." And
Right.
I was sadly mistaken. I went into that practice at UNLV and I'm playing with, Isabel Martin, who and all these players who are now playing overseas and at pro teams and all of these like, 5th, 6th years, and I'm coming in as a 17-year-old kid and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I just wanna show my team, like I've deserved to be here and, all of that. So I step into the serve receive lineup and, I'm giving my teammates high fives and I'm like, "Okay, guys, let's go." And a serve comes at me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." It looked like 100 miles an hour compared to what I was just passing. And
No.
I was like, "What is going on?" Like, I was telling my teammates, I was like, "I swear, guys, I swear I'm good. Like, just give me a couple warm-up reps, like, it'll work itself out." And I
Yeah.
was just blown away by how fast and how strong these girls were, because it's something, like, I've never experienced before.
Wow. That's insane. I mean, they had 4 more years to develop and hit a serve a little bit faster. It's crazy. They definitely knew you were just a young freshman coming in
Yeah.
and a little nervous to play, but
Yeah,
that's
they were
that's
like, "You're
that's
totally good, don't worry about it," and I was like, "Thanks, guys, like, you have my back."
that's good that you had older people, like, mentoring you and not
For
just bowling
sure.
you out of the lineup, so that's good. It's a
Yeah.
good team. So you
Mhm.
mentioned some notable names, that are playing pro still, or
Yeah, so Isabel Martin, she was at Indiana before, and she just transferred to the Dallas Pulse, which is a new
Oh,
pro
no
team
way.
in Dallas. So, yeah, she's playing in the US, and then we have 2 girls or 3 girls actually, who are playing overseas. We have, Gabriela Areche Ramos, we call her Gar, and then we have Chloe and Arian, who Chloe was a right side for us, Arian is a setter, and then Gar is an outside, and, yeah, 3 or 4 amazing players that I was actually able to play with, which is really cool.
Wow, that is definitely, a really cool experience, so hopefully, you'll be one of the ones that, plays pro as well with them. That's
Yes, definitely.
Is that a goal for the future, or what does the future look like for Caleigh?
Yeah, so I definitely wanna play pro after college. I wanna go overseas. I think I wanna be able to see the world, and I wanna be able to live in a new place and understand, how volleyball works all over the world, and I definitely wanna, yeah, play pro and just continue that for as long as I can.
Nice, that's awesome. So, I wanna know when you are doing, like, drills for volleyball, specifically, like, for your position as a libero, what's your, like, favorite workout that really just sets everything apart from all your other drills? Like, this one drill made you who you are today.
Mhm.
And if there's not just one, you can choose, like, multiple.
Okay, yeah, it's kinda difficult because I do a lot of different skills within my position, like
Okay.
I serve receive, I out of system set, and I dig. Digging is obviously, like, my main priority, like, I'm a defensive and also serve receive is a main priority for me as well. Those are the 2 main things, but I think what sets a libero apart
Uh-huh.
from being good to great is your out of system setting and your serving. So, like, can I get, this serve over the net and put the other team out of system? Can I ace them? Can I get a point that way? Or if my setter digs the ball, can I out of system set? Can I put up a good offense, in a not so great situation and stuff like that. And I think some of my favorite drills might be I love any out of system setting drill, especially like a dig to yourself set out of system that works on like a lot of great control. It works on obviously out of system setting, and then if let's say you don't get such a great dig, then you're working on bettering the second ball. So yeah, those are really fun. I like any serving drill. I mean, there's not a ton at a high level. It's kind of just like putting yourself in pressure situations more
Uh-huh.
so. And then serve receive, I actually like serve receive. This is like a common question within like liberos and outside hitters, like, "Oh, do you like serve receive?" But a lot of people will say they don't because it's a very mental skill, and it's something that you put a lot of pressure on yourself in the moment because it's basically just you versus the server. If they're targeting you or, if you're trying to help your teammates out, they might be under stress and, you're trying to help them and you're covering more court, and so that's, like, something that everyone kinda talks about, like, "Oh, is service do you like it or not?" And I actually do like it, and I think there's a lot of good serve receive drills that you can definitely apply some pressure in.
There you go. I mean, that probably is what sets you apart from, a lot of other volleyball or a lot of other liberos in the game.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you've been, at UNLV, for quite some time, and I know you mentioned, a very good, club coach, that you've worked with, but I wanna know, you've probably worked with a lot of what's the most impactful piece of advice a coach has given you?
Yeah, so, okay, we have a coach at UNLV. His name is Brian Magmating, and we call him BMAG for short, and he actually came from Nebraska's coaching staff. And if you don't know, Nebraska is probably one of the best or Nebraska is one of the best programs out there right now, and the most impactful piece of advice that he gave us was control what you can control, your effort, your attitude, and your response after every play. And I think that that is something that is so helpful for every single volleyball player because you genuinely cannot control everything that's going to happen during the game. You can't control what balls go where, what certain people in positions are gonna do. It's very much so reaction based. Yeah, like I said, you can only control the controllables, and so what you
Absolutely.
do with the controllables is, how it's gonna help your game and help you mentally.
Absolutely. I mean, that's some good advice.
Yeah.
So I wanna know, take us inside your head during one of the most high pressure situations of your career. Like, I'm talking games on the line, it's match point, everything is basically on the line. Like, what is that moment? Take us through it and, paint a picture for us.
Okay, yeah. So my preseason of sophomore year, we played Hawaii. We had the most insane crowd. We had like 3,500 people there. It was a sold out arena. There was probably more because, certain people couldn't even fit into the arena
No way.
and to the pavilion. Yeah, we had people like standing outside watching on TVs because they couldn't even fit, yeah, inside. It
Crazy.
was it was unreal because they call Hawaii like the ninth island. So a lot of fans are actually in Hawaii or in Vegas, excuse me. And so we had a ton of fans, both for UNLV and Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so at the time, we had never beaten in US history or in UNLV history. And this was a very high pressure situation. It was a 5-set thriller. Like we went 15 to 13 in the fifth set. We ended up winning. But before that, I mean, I definitely felt some pressure. I think that for me personally, I am a player who is more strategic under pressure. So once I get outside of myself and external, that's what's going to help me stay out of my head and playing my best because when I feel like when I'm helping my teammates, that's what's helping the team the most. And so I'm telling them, "Oh, middle blockers lay on an outside set. If you don't have the set there, tip it. You have deep corner, you have a roll shot over the block." Like I'm trying to figure out ways to score for my team because I'm not a
Right.
scorer myself. So I have the best. So I mean, for me, yeah, I'm definitely external. I'm very much so a kind of like cheerful person when I play too. So
Yeah.
when I'm stressed, I'll make sure that I do the most for my teammates and make sure that, we trust each other and I help them out for as much as I can. That's just what helps me get out of my head or, stay external.
That's a great teammate.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate
So,
that.
I wanna know, like, when you first got to college, like, how did your relationship with the sport change once you got there? Like, did you approach the game differently, or was there a mentality shift? Because, I mean, you kind of explained it, like, every freshman or you went into the game thinking you were gonna be, like, receiving from the exact same level, and, like, what was that mentality shift like for you, if you had any?
Yeah, well, coming in, I was super eager to just learn and get better and be better for my
Good.
teammates, and yeah, like, I mean, I was definitely eager to play at the next level, and I think that's why I graduated early in the first place, and, I was just so ready for the next chapter in my life, and so when I first got there, I was actually blessed enough to be able to start as a freshman and coming in early at that, and
No
so
way.
yeah, so I was very excited. I know, yeah. So, yeah, when I first got that jersey, the first game that we played, we played Colorado Buffs, and I remember Deion Sanders was, like, sitting in the crowd watching us. It was crazy, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, the whole football team was there, like, it was crazy. They had, like, a really big crowd too, because it was, like, their preseason opener, and I remember we beat them in 4, which was, like, crazy. We had such good players on our team, like the players that I had mentioned previously and
Yeah.
some more super honorable players as well, and it was actually the first season with this new head coach, and she was the one who recruited me to come earlier. I was recruited by a different coach before, but she had asked me to come earlier for that starting libero position, and I was so excited, first getting that, and so
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I just fell more in love with the game after being able to just step into a role that felt like home. I don't know, like all the girls were so welcoming, and it felt very like I didn't have a lot of pressure on me at first because I felt like that was just where I was supposed to be.
That's amazing.
I will say that in practices though, like it was like cutthroat. Like we were all fighting for that position, and obviously that's how D1 sports are. Like you're constantly fighting to get that starting role or fighting to get the whatever role that you want out of that team. And so, but I mean that was all the fun and dandy parts. I mean during middle of the season, everyone knows that's the hardest part. Like the October, like yeah, end of September, starting of October. That's like one of the hardest challenges that as a team you have to overcome. And I think
Mhm.
that was my freshman year, that was something that was very difficult for me to overcome because I had never experienced, like, a slow or, like, a dip in my game ever,
Mhm.
and I definitely felt that during the October, part in that it was difficult for me to get through just because, like I said, yeah, I'd never gone through that, and I was coming into a place where I didn't have anyone, my family was at home, and I was the only freshman at the time, and so
Wow.
I coming in by myself, yeah. So coming in by myself, it was difficult, but I had great people surrounding me, and I had coaches that cared for me and cared about my mental state and how, I was responding to certain things, and so having them by my side was super helpful in getting through that little slump there, and then, yeah, I mean, after that, it was great, so yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the teammates around you are the ones that brought you out of that rough in the
Mhm,
October middle season kind of cloudiness, I guess you could say.
mhm.
So I mean, that's like that brings up a really good point, and I wanted to talk about that. Like, there's a difference between being like mentally tough and ignoring your mental health. So, as a student athlete, what does proactive health care look like for you, especially like in that in season, like in the heat of everything? Like, what are you doing to separate yourself?
Yeah, let's see. So my freshman year was tough, like I said, I did
Right.
not know anything about mental health. I came from club volleyball that was, like, cutthroat, like I said, and coaches did not care about your mental health. It was, like, just grind, get after it, and that's all I'd known. So coming in, I definitely ignored, like, my mental health. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't we had
A
actually a
lot of
sports
athletes do.
Yeah, we had a sports psychologist, and I was like, "I'm never gonna see her, like, why and sports aren't about
Right.
mental, like, it's just grind, go, go, go," like, all of that, and so I had no clue, and then after I went through this dip, I came home and I was talking to, like, a lot of teammates and my friends and my family, and I was just telling them, how I felt, and they were like, "Yeah, that's gonna happen." Like, you don't think about it going into D1 volleyball, but it's something that just comes with the game because it's such a mental sport.
Abs
Yeah, having teammates that had obviously gone through that, their 5th and 6th year, so having them support me and show me the ropes and understand that there's certain ways to get out of it and there's certain things you can do to prevent it in the future, that was super helpful for me to just be able to look up to them and take
Wow.
their advice. Yeah.
That's amazing. It sounds like you had a lot of great teammates, a lot of great mentors guiding you in the right directions, and that's amazing.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you'll soon be are you a senior now or
So, yeah, I'm still in my junior year, but technically
junior
for
year?
volleyball, I'll be a senior.
Okay, so you'll be guiding those young bucks along the way through their freshman year. That's awesome. That's amazing. So I wanna
Mhm,
know, let's say you could sit down with your younger self who has that dream of playing Division I volleyball, and you
mhm.
can only give her one piece of advice about the journey ahead, what would it be?
I would say fall in love with the process, not the offer. When you're chasing your dreams, you don't wanna chase the offer and,
Mhm.
like, you don't wanna chase all the schools, the big names and stuff like that. You wanna fall in love with the process behind the scenes, the things that people don't see, the training, the boring days, things where maybe things aren't going your way, but you're still getting better. Be coachable, be a good teammate, all of those things. If you do all of those things, the offers will fall in line. The offers will come naturally. Just fall in love with being a volleyball player and not being offered to the best school.
Wow. That's a phenomenal answer. I love that.
Thank you.
That was actually that blew me away. That was a good answer.
Thank you.
I don't even know how to respond to that. That was good.
Mm.
So, what does Caleigh King do to stay healthy and make sure that her body doesn't get injured or isn't out for the season?
Yeah, so we definitely prioritize rehab and prehab. We do a ton of shoulder mobility things. We do a ton of science-based testing at UNLV, which is super cool. And
Really?
we test certain things like our abductor, adduction. We test our ankles, knees, hips. We test our strength. We do the VO2. We do the bike, and all of those things. They add them up in a chart, and so this chart will tell us where our imbalances are. Yeah, we do a lot of behind the scenes things, and, we wear the catapults so that
Yep.
tracks our load and our heart rate and all that, so that all goes into this whole thing that our science program does, and they accumulate all these graphs, and it says, "Okay, yeah, where are your imbalances? What do we need to work on? What could be a problem in the future? What do we need to even now?" All of these things, and so we'll get rehab sheets, of things that we need to do, like, 2 or 3 times a week, and then or more if you have certain injuries that are really bad or in the moment you got
Right.
them in the season, whatever. So yeah, we do a lot of prehab, rehab, and, we do these tests before season, after season, in the spring, and in the summer. So we do them 4 times a year. They're very difficult, but I mean, it's good science
Like the
testing.
beep tests and all those types
The
of
beep
exercises?
test, OMG. I never look forward to that day, but it always comes. So But, I mean, the VO2 is pretty hard too. It's a max exertion test. Do you know what the VO2 is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But,
So, yeah, that
I'm gonna say no.
oh, okay.
No, 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 I do not know what that is.
Okay. So the VO2 is you're running on the treadmill and you have a mask on, and they track the amount of oxygen you're taking in, and it's oxygen, right? Or do you no, yeah, you don't breathe in carbon dioxide. I'm so yeah, never
No,
mind.
you breathe out carbon.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I just had to make sure for a second. So yeah, they test the amount of oxygen that you're taking in and how successfully you're using that oxygen and for how long of a period you can hold that for. So the VO2, you're running on a treadmill at about 5, you're at a bit of an incline, and every I think it's every minute, minute and a half or so, depending on how well you're doing, they'll up the speed and up the incline. So at the end of the test, you're feeling like you're sprinting at like a hill like this.
Oh,
The
that
graph, yeah. Yeah, in the graph, it looks like you're just climbing like a little mountain, and the highest point that you end at is your max VO2.
damn, that's crazy. I'm glad, that they don't make the football team do that. That would've been painful.
Oh
I've
my gosh,
never
it's
never
one of the
experienced.
worst things ever.
So does that also, like, track when your lactic acid builds up too, or am I
There's some type of testing results that come out of it, but I think it's more so how high is your heart rate when you're at your highest, when how it tracks how fast your heart rate goes down after you're done, and the max exertion that you can push yourself to in order for us to track the amount how hard we can go in training.
wow.
So, yeah, a
That's
lot
cra
goes into it behind the scenes, yeah.
There's a lot behind the scenes. It sounds like you're very educated in this space too.
I kinda like sports science.
Yeah,
I like how the body works, and I like looking into those things. I always ask for my results back, and I always meet with them just to see, like, how I can be the best self that I can be on the court, so
that's amazing. That's amazing. Every athlete should be doing that, but I know a lot of guys that don't. I
yeah.
always loved that fact, like, I would always be in the, like, rehab, but I know you mentioned prehab, like, what is prehab? We never had anything like that.
Yeah, prehab is basically just before we lift, we're doing, like, arm mechanics, we're doing stuff for our shoulders, for our hips and knees, like TKEs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's kind of just like our prehab before lifting, and then rehab, we'll either do it in the mornings before we lift and before we do anything for practice, we'll do prehab. So, like, mine was my adductors and my ankles. So
Uh-huh.
I'll stand on, like, a balance pad with my eyes closed for as long as I can, or I'll do, like, abductor things, just certain things just to keep those little, nagging injuries away.
Right, and keep the little muscles that you don't work when you're doing explosive movements and
Mhm.
heavy lifts. You're working those small muscles to avoid injuries. That's good. That's something that all young athletes should definitely know. Well, Caleigh King, thank you so much for joining us where we have the top college athletes and the top college coaches share their own experiences of how they made their dreams into reality. It was a pleasure learning about your story and your journey, and I'm sure a lot of young athletes, especially volleyball players, will very much appreciate your lessons.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was great.